Welcome, Cosmic Explorers, to Cosmic Classroom Lessons from Starlight Synergy School, the podcast where we journey through the nexus of science and spirituality to empower your life. I'm your guide, Katie Dickinson, cosmic engineer and founder of Starlight Synergy School, and your fellow traveler on this path of discovery and transformation. This podcast is for seekers, dreamers, and anyone ready to uncover the mysteries of the universe within themselves. Whether you're curious about the cosmic forces that shape our existence or seeking practical tools for personal empowerment, you're in the right place. By tuning in, you'll discover how to navigate life's challenges with grace and strength, drawing on the power of both your intellect and intuition. You'll learn strategies for calming the storm within, setting boundaries that honor your soul, and ultimately stepping into the empowered, radiant being that you are meant to be. Get ready to transform your understanding of yourself and the world around you. If you're inspired to explore further and join our community of cosmic learners and fellow starseeds, follow us on social media, subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, and visit our website to learn more about our courses. Together, we can unlock the secrets of the stars and the untapped potential within. Please remember, this podcast is for educational and inspirational purposes only. While we explore topics related to personal and spiritual growth, it's important to seek professional advice for individual concerns. Our journey together is one of exploration and discovery, not a substitute for professional guidance. Let's embark on this cosmic journey together. Welcome to the Cosmic Classroom. Get ready to elevate your essence, honey, because the stars are not the limit. Welcome to another episode where we delve into the transformative powers of quantum coaching. I'm your host, Katie Dickinson, and today we're venturing into the realm of coaching evolution with a very special guest, Ashley Gordon, founder of Quantum Coaching Academy. In today's episode titled Quantum Leaps in Coaching, we'll explore how integrating cutting-edge techniques like NLP, EFT, time techniques, and more into coaching can not only elevate personal growth, but also catalyze profound societal changes. Ashley will share her journey of founding QCA and how it's pioneering a shift in the coaching industry to address both individual and collective needs. We'll also discuss the upcoming opportunities at QCA, including their next cohort, and a not-to-miss masterclass for aspiring coaches or anyone looking to make a significant career leap. This is a conversation about pushing boundaries and envisioning new possibilities in coaching and personal development. So whether you're a seasoned coach, someone curious about making a career pivot, or just passionate about personal transformation, this episode promises insights and inspiration to guide you on your path. Let's dive into the cosmic realm of quantum coaching and uncover the potential that lies within this innovative approach. Oh my God, she's in the waiting room. I feel like I had a vomit.
Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
Oh my God, I'm so excited right now.
Me too. This is going to be so fun.
I know. This is amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. This is crazy because I had a therapy session and I do ketamine therapy. And literally this entire vision came to me about you. And like I had like pages written and it was like, we get to the next level by taking the limits off everybody. We are healing the fucking world. Schedule a call with Ashley. This is how we do it. And then I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to talk to her? And I'm like, holy shit. That night was literally when you're like, yeah, I'll go on people's podcasts.
That is so cool.
I can't wait to get to know more about you because I don't really know anything about you because I found out about QCA from the girls who had been in the last cohort. And
right.
I didn't even ask any questions. I just knew that they showed up as the people that they were and I experienced them and I was just like, I'm in. And that was it.
So crazy. I fucking love that so much. That lights me up because, yeah, that's just like the ripple.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Welcome to the Cosmic Classroom podcast.
I feel like this is such a cosmic classroom.
I know. Cannot wait to hear what is inside of your brain.
Okay, I'm ready.
I have
what is Katie going to ask me? I'm going to open up.
I have a celebrity here with me today, Ashley Gordon, the founder of Quantum Coaching Academy and the Badass Manifester podcast. So, Ashley, do you want to say a little bit about yourself and how did this all come to be? How did your universe come to be?
How did my universe come to be? There's so much I could say. I will start with out of the darkness comes the light. And I was in a really dark place and I was very lost in life and very much so contemplating my relevance. What is my relevance? I was very spiritually inclined and always seeking and understanding the laws of the universe and understanding how life works. And I looked at my life and it didn't match up with my spiritual knowledge. And I'm like, okay, something's out of alignment, something's not working. And I knew I wasn't in my purpose. So I was really like a jack of all trades at this time. I was doing real estate, I was doing bottle service, I was picking up odds and end jobs, I was trying to create a clothing line, a yoga clothing line that failed very quickly. I was doing so many different things and nothing was the thing. And I knew I had to leave real estate. I knew I had to get out of this very toxic environment that I was in that was not promoting my growth. It was really stifling me, my light. And so I made a very powerful decision in 2015. I'm going to leave this semi-stable career and just go to my yoga studio and make $10 an hour working at the front desk. And I took that leap of faith. And even though I had no idea where it was all going to lead me, I had never felt more free. Like I didn't know where my life was going, but I was like, ah, relief. Like I'm not in this toxic job anymore. I'm not going to this toxic place. And all these things started falling away. And I was just like, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm in this exploration of anything's possible. And that's when I started talking to people. Like I was at the front desk, people would be late to yoga and they'd be all stressed out. And I'm just like helping them calm down and just talking to them. And I was giving advice and I was mentoring and I was semi quasi coaching, but I didn't even know that was a thing. And then it turned into me doing it more and doing it more. And I was like, I'm attracting people to be late to yoga because once you're late, you can't go in. And I remember starting to get this idea of coaching. And it wasn't until I was at a wedding, I saw this girl on the dance floor that I had a previous conversation with. And I was like, this girl is glowing. I need to talk to her. And I went up to her like a little tipsy on the dance floor. And I was like, Carly, you're glowing. You look amazing. And she said, Ashley, you changed my life. And I was like, what the fuck? Because we had one conversation at the bachelorette party, one conversation. And I hadn't talked to her in a couple months. And I turned to my husband. I was like, I think I'm supposed to be a life coach. I don't know if that's a thing. I don't know if people are doing this, but I think I'm supposed to be this. And that was the start of the whole journey that led me here. There's so much more, but I'll just pause there because that was a lot of words.
Yeah, that's incredible, though. I want to go back to where you were talking about faith and how you said that you knew that your life was not aligning with like your spiritual faith or what you believe in the world. Where did that faith stem from? Like,
yeah, when I was
not that faith.
when I was 18, I was always a deep child. Like I was the child that was like, what am I doing here? Who am I? I'm a human. This is weird. What's the point of life? I had all these deep questions as a child. I'm sure you're smiling. I'm sure you could relate. And I'm just like, what? Why am I here? What is this about? And I remember like looking up at the sky and talking to God and just like thinking about like the bigger things. And I remember telling my mom when I was little, I'm like, where do we go when we die? And just deep questions. And when I was 18, my mom was like, I really want this book for Christmas. Please buy me this book. And it was The Secret. And I'm like, I was in a really like weird place at that time. And I was in a toxic relationship with my boyfriend who there was no trust. And it was just very like horrible. And I remember just being depressed and being like, oh, I gotta get my mom a stupid book. Like, I gotta go to the mall. I was like going to the mall to get the book. And no Amazon back then. And I remember giving her the book. And then she was like, oh, my friend gave me the movie. Do you want to watch the movie The Secret? I'm like, oh, fine, I'll watch the stupid movie. I was in that energy, which is so not me.
You were a teenager also.
I was a teenager. Right. Exactly. I was totally being a teenager. Yeah. And so I watched the movie and literally, Katie, that night I drove home and I was just like, everything makes sense. Everything makes sense. Of course, our thoughts create our reality. And of course, our emotions create. And of course, we're creative beings and we're made in the image and likeness of God. And oh my God, it was such an awakening. And then I just started testing out my powers. I was like, I really want a MacBook. I started attracting the money to get a MacBook. I was just playing. I was like, I want this parking spot. I was having fun with the law of attraction. And that's how it all started. And the first book that I read after that was Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but that book was like the next layer of my spiritual awakening and devotion.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I love that you said parking spot because I love saying one of my best friends, we always talk about parking karma, but honestly, it
Yeah,
feels like it's just if it's going to be there, it's going to be there. And so
it's going to
that's,
be there.
yeah.
And it's funny because the times where I'm like, I'm circling around, it's going to be there. It's going to be there. And then I can't find, I'm like, fuck it. I'll just park in the back. And then I'm walking up and the first spot pulls out and you're like, fuck, that was my spot.
Yeah. Oh my God. I used to be the person who'd be like, I got to go change it now. No, it won't be there then when you try to force it like that.
Yeah.
Quantum Coaching Academy. Like, what was your first step in becoming a
Yeah.
coach?
So in becoming a coach, we're creating a certification program.
Both.
So like when I started my business, I had no idea I was going to create a certification program. That was my intention always was to create a program that would help people transform their lives. And I had no idea how that was going to look. And I had a bunch of programs at one point. I had so many different programs and I would launch these programs and they would be successful. And I was a manifestation coach. That's how I started. And then within a year, I had built a six-figure business and people started or close to a six-figure business. And people started asking me, how are you building your business? What are you doing? How is this? And I was like, okay, I think I'm supposed to be now like a manifestation business coach. So I started doing that. And my friend Jen Casey she hosted a mastermind event in New York City. And I would love for you to come, be my point person, be my assistant, and you could speak at the event. And I was like, this is amazing. This is my first speaking event kind of thing. And it was small. There were 7 coaches in the room. And it was all about business. It was about how to elevate their business, how to market their business, sales, strategy, all that stuff, which is great. And so what do you want to talk about? And I have always been passionate about the craft of coaching, facilitation. I had many certifications up until this point. And I saw this big gap in the industry where I'm like, everybody's talking about sales and marketing and funnels and all these great things that we need, but also nobody's talking about how to actually help someone have a transformation because that's how you're really going to retain your clients. That's how you're really going to make an impact is when you know how to fucking coach and you're really good at it. And so that night, she helped me create the foundation, like this first iteration framework of what the Quantum Coaching Academy would be. And I had no clue, even in that moment, that I was going to do this. But that next day, I taught the framework to these 7 coaches in the room. And it was just raw. It was real. I had my notebook, I was drawing it, and it was not like a prepared speech or anything like that. And they were blown away. They were just like, holy shit, I need this. 2 of the coaches from that event hired me privately to train them one-on-one on how to be better coaches. It was the highest I had ever charged at the time for one-on-one coaching, highest package. And I ended up putting those 2 people together. And that was the first beta round of the Quantum Coaching Academy because I left that event and it was just a download that came in. It was just like, you are meant to create a certification program. And it was clear as day. And I was so scary. That was in October. I launched the certification program in May.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. So that was October 2019. I launched it May 2020.
Oh my God.
So how many months is that? Like 7 months later.
That's
Yeah. I know. It was insane. Like I had no clue. And it's wild because online, I was like, how am I going to pivot? Like it's a big pivot, right? Where I'm like business coaching. And then I'm like, actually, this is what I'm doing now. And apparently I have no issues with pivoting, like within myself of what are they going to think or what are they going to, because I feel like the biggest pivot was pivoting into life coaching in and of itself because I had all these limiting beliefs that like people wouldn't take me seriously. People are going to say, oh, like she's a realtor. She's doing this. She's doing that. She's doing all these things. Now she wants to be a coach. And I feel like I got over that imposter syndrome and like that fear of what are they going to think, the fear of rejection. And I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to come out. I'm like, how am I going to tell people I'm now launching a certification program? I was like, I'm just going to do it. That's what I did. And the first round we sold, my goal was 20 seats and we had 24 people in the program.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the part where when you talk about how no one was, and sometimes I feel like it still is this way, where no one is talking about how to make someone go through a transformation. For one of the most life-changing moments of my life was being on that retreat with the quantum coaches that were in the cohort before me. And now looking back, I recognize what was happening and how that happened. But in the moment, all I knew is that people were asking me questions that they had never asked before. And
Yes.
especially being someone, for me at least, being autistic, and when I was younger, being told that like I do certain things just for attention, or being told why you do something without actually being asked why you're doing it are
Mm.
very different things, and put labels and put blame and shame and guilt on you in all different ways. So how did you learn about holding space, and how did you recognize like that was the key to transformation in people?
Oh, such a powerful question. And I also just want to go back to what you said about how when you were on that retreat, that was so transformational for you. And looking back now, you know why, because of the skills and processes that they used on you, which
Yes.
is so cool. So when I found yoga, that was really the start of like my immersing myself in personal development. And I went through my first yoga training and I was literally sitting there in awe of how the facilitator, because it was very like personal development focused yoga training, the facilitator would put somebody like on the hot seat and they would be like coming out with their biggest limiting beliefs, their biggest, deepest inner critics, and be like, I'm just not lovable. I'm just not this, or whatever their biggest thing was that they were working through. And I watched how she would hold the space. She would hold the space. Like I just witnessed mastery. And I was like, holy shit. I literally watched someone go from like wanting to hide to empowerment in a matter of 15 minutes. How the fuck did that just happen? And so I started to study the teachers in a way that maybe most people weren't. And I was so enthralled with this this language she was using and the questions she was asking and the way she would be silent and let them come up with answers for themselves. Like I was very in tune with everything that she was doing. And I was also very in tune with the confidence that she had to be able to hold the space and ground down and not feel like she had to fill the space and not feel like she had to overcompensate in any way. And it was just pure magic to witness. And that is like the first learnings of how I understood what that meant.
Yeah. And you also, in that moment, were basically, you were already the coach that you are now by witnessing that in that moment. Because I feel like in moments like that, people are usually more focused on, when is my turn? Are they going to do this for me? I want this to happen for myself, as opposed to like recognizing the excellence that she was showing.
Mm.
Which that's amazing, like being able to witness that and transfer that information from it, instead of what am I getting out of this, even though you were getting everything.
So
You were-
much. I was getting so much. Thank you for highlighting that. I feel like to be like a really powerful leader and entrepreneur, like any event you go to, any retreat you go to, yes, you want to be in it, but you also want to be like paying attention to how are they holding the container? How is the facilitator showing up? What are they doing? Noticing different things. Like the last retreat I went on, I took so many notes from the facilitator. I was so inspired by the boundaries that she held. And like after segments, if we were on a break, she wouldn't hang out with us. She would go into another room and just recalibrate herself and focus on how she needed to be showing up. And it was very interesting. So I'm always observing that.
That's so smart. I'm going to do that
Yeah.
from now on. I don't think I've ever actively done that like that.
Yeah. Even for QCA, the container we hold, we want you all to learn from our container
Yeah.
how to hold your containers.
I do notice that now. I notice that now being in QCA, because I watch how all of you hold yourselves, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to be just like Jenna. I want to be just like Ashley. There's so many things I like pick from each of you that I'm like,
Yeah.
they're so incredible. But it's funny because I do look back to that retreat, And I recognize how I wasn't being helpful to the other participants there. How that I wasn't a coach then. I was just like being there and I didn't know their method for coaching, but I just kept trying to interject my thoughts and my opinions. And now I look back at it, I'm like, oh my God, that was so unhelpful.
But it's such a good learning for you. Such a
Well,
good learning.
it
And I'm
was.
sure it was helpful. I'm sure it was helpful. Every time you share in QCA, you always share the most beautiful breakthroughs, and everything that you share is so helpful to the whole group, really.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
so reflecting back, what have been some of the most profound personal or professional transformations that you experienced, and how have they defined your mission with QCA?
Ooh, baby. That is a loaded one. Okay, you might need to break that down in parts for me. The
Okay.
first part is, what were some of the defining moments?
Yeah.
Wait, read it again.
Yeah. Reflecting on your journey, but what have been some of the profound personal or professional transformations that you experienced and how they have defined your mission with QCA, which obviously holding space with the yoga
Yeah.
sense. And then how did you decide what was important and what wasn't important to put into QCA based on your experiences?
Okay. So I think for me, the biggest thing personally has been really allowing myself to be seen
Mm,
and be seen for just in my true authenticity, allowing myself to be okay with the fact that not everybody is going to like me, not everyone's going to vibe with me, not everybody's going to resonate. And that's okay. That has been such a huge part of my personal journey. And I think it's very connected to my success. I remember before I even launched my coaching business, I was at the beginning stages. I happened to win an astrology reading. I don't even, someone tagged me. I don't know how I won it, but I won it. It was with this amazing girl. And she just was like, listen, I'm going to give it to you straight. You have big visibility in your chart. Like you can really be seen by like many people, but this success is directly tied to your ability to allowing yourself to be seen,
ooh,
which also tracks with my numerology. It's very interesting. So that piece of it has been huge, allowing myself to be seen, which if I didn't break through that, I don't think QCA would have ever been created.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a big one. And then professionally, I think it's been a lot of trusting in the unknown and trusting in the things that I can't fully see, but trusting in the knowing. I knew once the download came through, I had to do this.
Mhm.
And I knew it was going to have its challenges, and it does, and it has, and it did. And it's every cohort, we learn so much every time we run the program. And every time we run the program, we refine what's in the program. We refine the tools and the skills and the processes. And in the beginning, QCA was half of what it was. We had only 3 certifications. Now we have 8 certifications. And that's because I went and got trainers trained in NLP. I wanted to bring in all the NLP stuff into the training. And that was a huge professional shift to add all of that in because we had to basically restructure the entire program. So I've restructured QCA Jenna and I have restructured QCA multiple times. And I feel like another one is coming in order to scale.
Mm, that's so funny. That was going to be my next question because one of the visions that came to me during my ketamine therapy when my whole session was about you this one day basically was what's next? How do you scale something like this while keeping yourself part of it? Because
Yeah.
because I can imagine the whole point is the ripple effect. The whole point is that we can have this kind of healing on a global scale, I'm assuming. To be able to do that would mean to be able to reach so many more people. How do you create QCA so that it can reach everyone where because 100 people in our cohort is about what we have now. And you
Yeah.
guys are incredible at figuring out how to handle that so that everyone feels seen, so that everyone has groups, so that everyone
Thank
has
you.
the ability to like feel like they're actually a part of it and not just like watching a screen all day. So
Yeah.
how do you do that on an even bigger scale as you grow?
Do you have the answer for me? Because I would love it.
I have some ideas actually. That was part of my whole thing because I was thinking that there was like some different layers to this. Like it's almost like an assembly line of what like do people become coaches first and then heal themselves, but it's really like a process
It's a
altogether.
parallel process. Yeah, for sure. I think that you just asked me like the question of the hour right now, like the question of the moment for sure. This is something that we're talking about behind the scenes a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be really bold and say, I don't know right now. And the thing is, I didn't know how we were going to scale to 100 students, and we figured it out. So sometimes when you have a business, it's okay to not know how it's going to happen, but to hold on to the vision. And my vision is to grow it so that thousands of people can come into QCA and be part of it and still make them feel held and supported and seen. And like we've got them 100% because that's such a huge part of our value and our delivery. So I have ideas. I have an idea of having a not certification version of QCA that's a smaller version that's more scalable that then leads people to take the bigger program, and the bigger program could be small. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't
One of I love that
know.
you say that, and because it's just so honest. And also, so one of my favorite quotes ever is, "You are one thought away from the greatest experience of your life."
Ooh,
And what I've noticed is that a lot of times when I really try to like math something out,
yeah.
it doesn't come to me, but it just like when you allow yourself to receive, it's like the answer will come in an instant. And I feel like that's what it'll be for you for growing QCA.
It's so true. I hear that. And I feel like if you look back and if I look back, like you wouldn't have known that going to that retreat was going to lead you on this whole path of becoming a coach and being in QCA. Like you couldn't have. It's like sometimes the vision that we have for ourselves is so much more limited than what is actually available to us. So like you said, sitting back and receiving is such a big part of it. And when I look back, like I couldn't have planned all of this better. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah. Cause there's just so many unknowns.
Yeah.
Like I became certified in holistic nutrition in 2014. And I look back ever since I started QCA, it has been impossible for me not to look back at my entire journey and know that this is exactly why my coaching business never happened. And I never felt confident in being in front of the camera because there was always this part of me that knew something was missing. And I would watch people online and I'd be like, I can do what they're doing, but they're just so passionate about their topic. And I was like, I don't have that one thing. But it was also because I didn't know how to hold space. I didn't know
Mhm.
how to be someone who didn't want to be a fixer. And
Yeah.
so much of who I was. And I knew that I was like, I can solve everybody's problems. And I am a Renaissance woman, a jack of all trades. I can do
Yeah.
everything. But the exhaustion that comes from being that person and the way that you guys teach how to be a coach in a way that does not drain you of energy, but actually energizes you is
Yeah.
night and day. But
Oh, I love that so much. I'm so curious for you, like having that's a major shift, right?
yeah.
From being that person that always is like the fixer energy, and also just being able to recognize in yourself, like it makes sense why you weren't putting yourself out there because you didn't have the tools to be able to help other people in the way that you really want to. Having that now, how do you show up differently?
I have so much more patience now. Sometimes I can feel myself like if I'm with like a really difficult client, not difficult, but if I'm with a client that can be more stressful or you just can't get them out of their own head and they just like
Yeah.
keep going on and on or something. And like I'll feel my body start to tense up, but I'm aware of that now. So all of a sudden I'll be aware of it and I'll be like, why am I feeling this way? Like, there's
Yes.
me to feel this way.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. I'll just ask a question when she's ready to hear my question.
Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with that. That's everything. To
Yeah.
be able to relax into trusting the client's process and trusting where they're at in their process.
Yeah. That was really hard for me. And honestly, I know that I shared in QCA, but it has been life-changing with my relationships with my partner, but also like I've had a non-existent relationship with my family, and it has opened doors for me to be able to speak with them with no attachment to how they show up. I'm just like okay with whatever that is, and I can see it so differently now. And that's all from QCA. So actually, the next cohort at QCA starts soon, and you're hosting a masterclass titled Become the Dream Coach. How do these opportunities align with the current needs and challenges in the coaching field?
Ooh. So Become the Dream Coach Masterclass was really inspired by my students, right? So like you were at a retreat that our students had led. They took it upon themselves to create this whole magical experience. And I was looking at all of my students thinking, wow, this one wrote a book. This one's on the TED stage. This one is these people are leading retreats. This one's leading sound healings. This one's doing this. I'm like, these are all dream coaches. This is what vision boards are made of. This is what's on my vision board. This is probably what's on your vision board. So I'm like, I want to create a masterclass that helps people go from vision board dreaming about becoming a coach to actually living the dream as a highly successful world-class coach. And so in this masterclass, I break down the gap that I see in the industry, and I give you real frameworks. I share the quantum coaching method, and I give you other frameworks to help you with your clients, like real life things that you can implement into your coaching right now if you want to up level your coaching. And or if you're brand spanking new and you're listening to this podcast and you've been listening to Katie and you're like, I kind of have that nudge inside to become a coach and I want to do what Katie's doing and I want to learn more about this. This masterclass is an opportunity to follow your interests like completely risk-free, right? It's totally free. You can come and feel it out and just listen and watch and be part of it and see if this is a path that you want to explore more. Because I think this masterclass will help you to figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I want to ask is because something I've noticed in QCA specifically is that there are a lot of people in QCA who have been business coaches and they have realized that they wanted to elevate their coaching practice.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering for people out there who are like, why would I need this? Or if they're already a successful coach, why is it important to not only be able to heal ourselves the way that we do by going like through the entire rebirth that is QCA?
Yeah.
Why is it important to do that as a coach and also be able to give that to your clients, even if you are like such a niche down coach that you're like, I'm only business or I'm only this? Like, why is that so important?
Okay. So you asked the best question. Your questions are so quantum. My brain is, wait, what?
It's
Okay.
in my brain all day, every day.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Why? What part is so important? What? Can you tell me one more time?
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I'll have to say everything in like a paragraph and then I figure out how
Yeah.
to say it shorter.
I love it.
What is so important about healing yourself and being able to what I don't like about society and since I was younger is that people would always talk about how there's like a business version of themselves and then the real version of themselves.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, why is it important for us to be able to merge these things together, to be able to be healed in our coaching and be able to help heal others?
Ooh. We can't lead others where we're not willing to go. So that's number one. And number two, I completely agree with you. And this is something that I'm like still getting flat with in myself because my mom always taught me in certain settings, you got to be professional and be polished and wear your hair this way. And I'm realizing that actually we can be all of it. This is a new era for business owners and especially personal brands and coaches. The more embodied you are in your authenticity and in your healing journey, that's going to attract people who see that and admire that in you because it's our authenticity codes that we give off that are like light beams to other people that are like, "Oh, she's so in her power. She's so in her truth. She's so in her feminine energy. Like, I want that. I want to feel that way. I want to be empowered in that way because that's the healing. The healing is how can we get more back to our authenticity? The healing is how can we get more back to our naturalness, to our natural state without all these things that we add on top that we think are important. So I think that we're in an era of merging We can be everything. We can be professional. We can be sexy. We can be divine. We can be goddess. We can be everything.
Yeah.
Business owner. We can be CEO. We can be a fucking boss. We can be millionaires. We can be all of it. We can change the world.
Yeah. I fucking love that. Okay, so I want to read this to you.
Okay.
This is what came to me during my therapy session when I like got the download that was like, talk to Ashley.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm so ready.
So okay, I wrote, when the Black woman is able to let go of all limiting beliefs, the world will know peace. Putting a limit on someone else puts a limit on the whole. There is no lack other than the lack which is created by those who have more. There is a higher level here, and you are missing it because you're so concerned about others getting what you have. There's more. We can't make it to more unless we are all on board. Get your shit together, Earth. There's a whole universe out there waiting for you to get yourself together. We get to the next level by taking the limits off of everybody. We are healing the fucking world. Schedule a call with Ashley. This is how we do it.
And here we fucking are.
I know. And that was the day I wrote that was the day that you were like, yeah, I'll be on your podcast.
Wow. That's beautiful. I think you should write a book called Get It Together, Earth.
Oh my God. I love that idea. I've been wondering
Yeah.
what my next book was going to be. I have a few ideas because one of the ideas came at that retreat because I have a list of everyone I've ever slept with and their astrological signs. And I call it Bangarang. And it's like my scientific study of how an astrological sign is.
That's actually amazing. I love your beautiful brain.
I
That's
love
so
your
cool.
beautiful brain. I've been like so excited to have this conversation. So for someone considering joining QCA or attending the masterclass, what bigger picture should they have in mind?
I should turn that question to you because you're the one who is in QCA.
Okay. I feel like mine is just so. My bigger picture has always been that God, I knew I was going to cry with you, but
Let's cry. Let's cry.
crying in front of you. I feel like what you just said before, being able to be everything everywhere all at once. That's like my favorite line right now is that so my belief is, and I wrote this in my book, that personal development is something that none of us would ever fucking need if we were just taught how to love ourselves correctly and love others from the day that we were born. So
Yes.
my hope and love for this world would be that we are the last generation that ever needs personal development, and that from here on out, everyone else that comes next, we are able to become this more collective consciousness level that
Yeah.
we get closer to the point of, it's funny because every time I think about it, I'm like, world peace and Miss America.
Yeah.
But it's like, but that's the truth is that
Yeah.
I want people to feel safe enough to be everything that they want to be. Because I guess the big thing for me is I think that there is a difference between people who recognize that these limits exist and people who pretend that they don't. But I feel like we have to crack that somehow. Like, how do we help people recognize that they're allowed to be free? Because that's really what I notice is that
Yeah.
most of the time people don't recognize that they're allowed to be different.
Yes. That's so powerful. And I think it comes back to the more we all do our own work. And I think that is like whatever, like to answer your question as well, I think it's about being willing to shed all of your shit to be that permission slip for people, because those people that are like waiting for that to how did you just put it? Do you remember what you just said? Like
Which part?
the part about what's holding them back, like it's okay
That
to
they
not,
don't feel allowed.
yeah, that they don't feel allowed to be all that they came here to be. A big part of that is us remembering who we are, that we are all that in a bag of chips, and us being our light gives permission to those people that can then know that they're allowed.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I love the space that we're at in QCA right now, where I feel like everyone's like teetering, where everyone's, oh my God, yeah, I'm fucking amazing. And they're like, I'm scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I love
100%.
the camaraderie of QCA because it's a constant reminder of that you're allowed to. So
Yeah.
every time I find myself questioning myself, I'm surrounded by another person that's, oh, you're allowed to be everything you want to be. And I've never had that in my life. And I guess that would be the bigger vision too for anyone who's like thinking about joining QCA is that you were going to get out of QCA is the friendships and the connections on a deeper level that you've never had before in your life. That alone in itself is life changing.
Amen to that. That is like the top thing that I want people to know about our program is like, it's the connections and the friendships. So many people come in, they're like, I've never had like-minded friends like this. I've never had connections like this before. And it is so incredibly impactful. That's probably one of the things on my journey. Like the biggest thing that I've taken away from even growing this business is meeting soul family that has a good fucking time and is changing the world together. What is better than that?
I
So
remember during one of the very first group coaching sessions we had, I was the person who was being coached, and I had 3 options for what I was gonna choose, and I know I'm a disruptor. This year has been me accepting that, and not only accepting it, but embracing it and being like, "I like fucking disrupting shit."
yep.
But I noticed that I was like, "I'm gonna do which one I think is gonna be the most complicated situation for them to handle." And
Yeah.
so I did the questions I had were involving having the conversation with my partner about opening our relationship to be ethically non-monogamous. And I could not or I was just in awe. Like not a single and this I think this was in the first 3 weeks of us starting
Right.
this course and
No
like
judgment.
zero judgment. No
Mhm.
one like if anything, every single person that I was talking to or getting coached by was acknowledging how much love me and my partner have for each other and acknowledging how they weren't trying to be like, do you think something's missing in your relationship? They just were like so understanding and just, oh my, I was so impressed because like those
Yeah.
are topics that are hard and could make you feel biased. And even if somebody in that circle did not agree with my life choice, I would have never known.
Nope.
And I think
Nope.
one of the strongest things that a coach could ever do is be able to coach someone that they don't maybe agree with what their beliefs are, but know what's best for the other person is whatever they believe is best for them.
Amen. Yes. 100%. I was like, that is what good coaching is made of. Non-judgmental, holding the space, heart-led, like all of that is so potent. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Um, okay. What day is the masterclass?
Yeah, so if you wanna come to Dream Coach Masterclass, it's happening live. I'll be live. I'll be streaming in live. I'm so excited. May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at different times. The link, I'm sure, will be in the show notes to register, and you'll be able to pick what date and time works for you because 'cause they'll be at different times on each day. And yeah, definitely come, register, get on in on this goodness because it's gonna be life-changing.
It is. This has been the most life-changing thing that's ever happened in my life.
Oh my gosh.
What is before we go,
Yeah.
I want to ask you 2 questions.
Yes.
First one is what is your biggest dream?
Mm, wow. I should really think about these more often. I think my biggest dream is happening now. And my biggest dream has always been to help people wake up to the power that they have within themselves. And of course, I would love to do that on like a grand scale. And I feel really grateful for the level at which I am doing it now. So that is really my biggest dream, truly. And that's like my big professional dream. And then personally, I have like just my family, like being able to be a mom and yeah, just have our family unit is really a huge dream of mine too that has come true.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like that's such a big question and I have been really like reevaluating because it's interesting as a spiritual entrepreneur, it's the impact that you want to have and the income you want to make. And the success that you want to achieve. And all of that is important. But like when it boils down for me, it's like, what is the quality that I want to feel every day? How do I want to feel every single day? What is the energy that I want to feel? And I truly just want to feel joy every single day. And so that's what I now equate my success to, is like how joyful I feel in a day, because you could start a business and not feel joyful at all. And you're like, why? I've had burnout moments where I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, what is this for if I'm like so depleted and so burnt out and I'm working so hard? And yes, it's for the greater good, but also I want to enjoy it along the way. So it's also, for me, it's like respecting that the journey really is the destination. And I'm just really focused on enjoying the journey as much as possible, because I don't feel like there's going to be that moment that I arrive to that's going to be like, oh my God. It should feel like that all the time in
Yes.
my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fuck yes. I decided once I got laid off from my job, I was like, I'm not doing anything ever again that's not fuck yes energy. That's all that's
Yeah.
coming from the future now. But okay, this made me think of one more question. So now we
Yeah.
have questions again. Because
Go
I'm
ahead.
really glad that you just said what you did, because I want to circle back to the beginning when you talked about having the faith to quit your job and go
Yeah.
work at a job that was only $10 an hour at the yoga studio. And at that point, you didn't really have the training that you do now that would make you feel safe in your nervous system to make a decision like that. So, what was it that allowed you to feel safe enough to do that and just trust?
In that moment, it was more about the pain. I couldn't go one more second
Mm.
feeling the the disconnect, like the dis-ease. It was painful. It was shrinking my soul. It was literally like sucking my soul out, and I could feel it. So it was really the discomfort that led me to the change. And you might be listening right now, resonating with that the most, where it's, oh my God, I'm in so much discomfort. My life is not in alignment with what I want to be doing. And it fucking hurts. Like, it hurts when you know that, because you have the awareness of, this is not what I pictured for my life. This is not the direction I want my life to go in. And you can't unknow that about yourself. So if you ignore your calling and if you ignore those urges, it's just going to get more and more painful until you get to a point where you're just so sick of the pain that you're like, I can't go another fucking day.
Oof. You can't unknow this about yourself is so fucking true. That's
Yeah.
actually like me getting laid off from my job. I knew months ahead of time I was never going to quit that job. And I knew in my heart, my soul, my body, everything, that it was sucking the life out of me. And I kept saying every day, I was like, I won't put 100% into my business until I like lose this job. And I kept thinking I was going to quit, but I'm like, I 100% manifested being laid off. Like, just by having those thoughts every single day, I'm like, it's not happening till this happens. Like, I
Wow.
wanted a catalyst that wasn't gonna be me doing it, because I just wanted that push.
So wild.
Yeah. Okay. So for our last question, we'll close off with this. Really, it's a very open-ended question. Is there anything that I missed or anything that you feel called to share right now that feels most important to you?
Hmm. What I really want to share is that if you're listening right now and you have this spark inside of you, like you heard something today that sparked something within you, to turn on your light a little bit brighter, because it doesn't have to be like a full blown ignition, light up the fucking fireplace. It's really, it's just like a spark to turn it up a little bit brighter within yourself, to shine a little bit more, to lean into that feeling. Like, my message to you listening is to lean into your light, because you have it. And if you feel some sort of spark just by listening to this, follow it. Follow that nudge. If you want to come to Dream Coach Masterclass, follow it. If you want to work with Katie, follow that feeling. If you want to apply to QCA, whatever it is that sparked you, that excitement, that passion, that desire, that energy is the creative energy of the universe that is working through you. Something outside of you is sparking that. And it's really just helping guide you. So my message to you is never, um, keep following that, never ignore that, keep following that slight spark or that excited feeling, because that will never lead you in the wrong direction.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah.
This has been so amazing. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much. And if you do end up applying to QCA, please put this podcast, put Katie's name on the application. We just like to know where everyone's coming from. And I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much for just shining your light and following that nudge within yourself, because I know that you're making an impact in the world. I know that you're helping so many people through this podcast and through your coaching. And I'm just so proud of you to watch you like fully embody your gifts and just see you awaken on this path. Like through everything that you're doing, you're so committed to yourself and to the service that you're here to provide the world. So thank you.
I see that from you, and it makes me feel safe to do the same.
Oh, see, permission.
Yeah.
Permission. So good. And everyone come find me on Instagram if you want to hang out.
Oh, yeah. What is your handle?
I am at thequantum.coach.
Oh,
and that's also my website, thequantum.coach.
You have created a space where people feel confident and safe enough that there's like no one feels like they're in competition with each other. And that like there's no part of me that's like, if I support you and your launch, then it's going to take away from me launching my thing. And if anything, I'm like, when you have people who really truly believe in the ripple effect that can happen in the world and the impact you're making, it doesn't fucking matter who makes the impact. It matters that it happens. And so
That's it.
like, that's what matters to me, is that if I got selfish or my ego got in the way of being like, oh, I don't want to do this because I want people to come to my thing, it's never going to fucking work. Like,
Yeah, it's never going to work. That's not the point.
no, it's not.
So good. So, so good. It's interesting because I interviewed someone recently and I wanted to collaborate with them on a post, and they didn't accept the collaboration. And I just messaged them and I was like, hey, I collaborated with you on this post. I don't always see when people collaborate with me. Like sometimes it's like hidden in Instagram. I don't know why. And they wrote me back and they were like, I'm so picky about my grid, and I'll have to feel into that and like see if it's something that I want to do later. And I was just like, okay. But to me, I'm just like, for sure. Like I understand if it's a random thing you don't want to collab on, fine. But if it's like a podcast, like when you launch this, I'm going to collaborate with you on it. It's something that's for the collective. It's not just about your grid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I've let my grid go. I was so OCD about matching everything up to the point where I would delete my own posts just so that my collaboration posts could match in exactly how I wanted it to be. And finally, because I had quote posts for so long from my book, which I want to bring back, but I am so happy to not be in the prison of what my fucking grid looks like anymore.
Yes. Who cares?
No, it doesn't fucking matter. I don't want to have to think all these ways that people are out here being like, this is how it has to be done. And like,
it's too much work.
It's too much fucking work. And I'm a manifester and I'm just like, I'm not supposed to do any of the shit you're doing anyway. So I'm not gonna.
Right. Yeah. Honor that. Honor that. Totally. 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 Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. Do you want to plug anything else? Plug everything.
Plug everything. What else? I have a podcast called Badass Manifester Podcasts, and that's about it.
Okay, cool.
Amazing.
So we'll see everybody at Dream Coach Masterclass.
Yes, we'll see everybody at Dream Coach Masterclass, and I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you. Get ready to elevate your essence, honey, because the stars are not the limit.